Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the Martian Extended Edition. Yeah, 4K. So, I really liked the Martian, and I was glad we were able to get it in 4K. First thing though, the Extended Edition really doesn't add much. It's not kind of like on the level of Lord of the Rings, where it really changes things up, or any kind of other kind of additions. This just goes from, let's see here. Yeah, the theatrical version is 141 minutes, and the extended cut version is 151 minutes. So, if you get one or the other and you're like pressed for time or whatnot, go with the theatrical one. You don't really miss much. I can see why the scenes were pretty much just taken out. But it really didn't dilute anything of the movie. I really like what this kind of movie does. It's pretty much just kind of like a science kind of one. We've got our explorers on Mars, and what would happen for a scientist to be lost, an astronaut to be lost on a Mars expedition, and what that would kind of entail. So, this is set in 2035, so a little bit of the future. We've got this Ares 3 crew having a mission to Mars, exploring the Acidalia Planitia on Martian solar day Sol 18 of their 31 Sol expedition. And they're pretty much doing their shit, spitballing and everything, and I really like how you get how the crew kind of interacts right off the bat. You see them having their banter. We are introduced to the main kind of character that we will be following, Watney. However, I think a lot of the characters, even though this is a pretty big kind of cast, is given enough time to shine where you're like, okay, this isn't just a cardboard cutout or stereotype or someone filling a plot role. This is the person who will expound the solution or the exposition or do this, that, or the other. No. You actually have characters, even though they might have that job function. It's not we're on such a kind of level where you're like, oh god, that's just an object saying shit. So they're pretty much digging, doing their shit. Watney fucking around with one of the other crew. Let's see. Just teasing and acting like Martinez. So we get Watney, who's the botanist, Melissa Luz, Jessica Chastain as the commander, let's see, Michael Pena as Rick Martinez, Kate Mara as Beth Johansson, Sebastian Stan as Dr. Chris Beck, who's the surgeon, Axel Henny as Dr. Alex Vogel, a German national who's a navigator and chemist for Ares 3. So we kind of understand what's going on here. We see that Lewis is kind of like no nonsense when leading this and takes everything very seriously. Watney and Martinez kind of just like joking and kind of joshing how you usually kind of... It's really kind of well done because even though they're in a situation where they could have a life or death decision to make, they're doing the same kind of shit spitting that you do on a regular kind of job. Just like, yeah, alright, I'm doing my dirt. So they're getting through all that and everything. Martinez is kind of like detailing what's kind of going on. But we see they get news from Mission Control that the sandstorm is worse than they expected, so they have to bug out earlier than expected. Sol 18 out of 31. So they're attempting to do it, but as the sandstorm hits, it's really kind of bad. See, the thing is, this sandstorm, if it knocks their liftoff unit more than 12 degrees off the axis, it'll tip over and they won't be able to get it back up. So they have to make the decision to leave. So Martinez pretty much gets it all packed up. They're attempting to get there, but one of the communication arrays comes and knocks the fucking shit at Watney. All of them think that it pretty much leading them to think that he's dead. The commander is the last one to leave, still attempting to look for Watney, and decides to then bug out. I do like seeing that because it's like a commander should. I'll be the last one to leave this kind of place. So they're able to leave, but we then learn that Watney's alive. They We do. We see them have a funeral. We see them kind of talk about everything. Jeff Daniels playing Teddy as the NASA director, like the administrator of NASA. Kristen Rigg as Annie Montrose as like the media relations. Let's see. And the one in charge of Chiwetel Ejiofor as Vincent Kapoor, NASA's director of the Mars missions. So we then get introduced to Mindy Park as she's able to see that like Watney's doing shit. It's like, what the fuck? Why is this shit moving and everything? And then they start figuring it out. It's like, holy fucking shit, he's alive. And it's really kind of gnarly to see Matt Damon's kind of transformation as this kind of works on. Because we see him at first and he's pretty much jacked. He operates on himself, seals himself, starts talking about what he needs to do and everything. He's like, alright, okay, I'm alive. They probably don't know I'm alive. So what I gotta do is I gotta like stretch out my food. It'll be 4 years for Ares 4 to get here. So I need to pretty much get that kind of situation. And seeing him kind of science the shit out of this, one of the lines from the movie, is really kind of fucking awesome. I think they did a pretty decent job because it didn't seem far-fetched outside sci-fi kind of stuff. They tried to do real kind of science on this, and the great kind of thing is the kind of back and forth. Watney will have successes, and then he'll have failures, and then attempting to swing back and forth, as well as the scientists on Earth trying to figure out, oh my god, he's there, and then trying to figure out how to communicate and everything. Watney accidentally blowing himself up, attempting to make potatoes, and grow them on Martian soil, utilizing the waste of himself and his crew, and being like, yeah, I colonized this shit, bitch, and getting water and everything, and seeing it work out, and being like, yeah, potatoes are working out, and later on being like, I ran out of ketchup 7 days ago. I'm like, I feel you for that. I mean, I like ketchup. I mean, I used to have just ketchup sandwiches as a kid. Yeah, I'm kind of weird like that, so I understand his whole kind of thing on that, and especially with potatoes and like figuring out all these different kind of ways to utilize them and plan them out. It's like, holy shit, you got here to Mars. All right, how are you going to survive and get through? So he decides to kind of go out, utilize the rover. The thing is, the distance to the crater for the Ares 4, which to help save on stuff, they've already landed the lander there for that mission. He's like, okay, I need to get there. How am I going to do this? Seeing him kind of going back and forth, getting the Pathfinder to then communicate with them as they then start trying to figure out a plan. Now, their first kind of shot is to just get him supplies to make sure that he can live for Ares 4. However, things start taking turns as Watney suffers a serious setback with his potatoes being destroyed as there's a catastrophic blowout. And he can ration shit. As we see later on, he rations himself really hardcore. Also, due to the advice from NASA after they pretty much used Pathfinder to start communicating and then pretty much hacking into the OS of the rover to kind of talk about everything going on. Them also being like, yeah, this is maritime shit. I'm a fucking pirate. I'm a space pirate. Call me Captain Blondebeard, motherfucker. And seeing the characters have to deal with that, Mindy being like, yeah. And Vincent being like, oh yeah, it's international. Yeah, he's definitely explained it. It's like, okay. But we see that Teddy is more interested in just attempting to work this situation out as much as possible. It sucks that they've already dealt with like Watney being dead, so the thing is, Ares 3 is still on its way home. So we see this kind of dovetail with Donald Glover's character, Rich Purnell, who is able to figure out a way to try and save Watney, because trying to shoot the resources that he would need, too much shit could go wrong. So he pretty much coalesces on this idea of, alright, how do we minimize everything that goes wrong? Ares 3 is already rated to be able to attempt to do this and like pretty much slingshot around Earth, grab up some supplies, and go back and pick up Watney. So they pretty much are able to get their timetables up enough to kind of figure that kind of out. However, the crew of Ares 3 does not know that Watney's alive just yet, much to the chagrin of Mitch, who's pretty much the one in charge of, let me see. Mitch Henderson, the Hermes flight director, Sean Bean. And incidentally, one of the roles where Sean Bean doesn't die in the movie. And I love the kind of, like, different kind of pop culture references we get in here. He's part of this secret thing of Elrond's council, where Rich pretty much details the whole kind of thing and giving a nice kind of explanation of what's kind of going on. A thing that kind of science movies sometimes do pretty wrongly is attempting to really dumb things down to a level that's like infantilizing. And I am mispronouncing that so much, but like making everybody like they're babies, all right? And being like, oh, you can't understand this. There's a difference between making sure that you understand a concept and simply and being like, you dum-dum, you don't know how 2 + 2 = 4 kind of shit. It's like, no. And seeing him being able to, like, listen, when you're shooting off these supplies, there's a lot of shit that's going to be able to potentially go wrong. Because we see them attempt to do that at first. They do out this safety checks, and the supply thing explodes. They then get help from China with their kind of rocket, and they're like, all right, we've only got this one thing. What are we going to do? And Teddy is weighing all the different kind of options, just like Commander Lewis would be. And it's also kind of funny because Watney is keeping himself sane by listening to music, but it's only Lewis's music, which is ABBA, and he's like, God damn, fuck all this disco, and him just going nuts. Also utilizing pretty much a radioactive element to make sure that he doesn't freeze to death in his rover. It's just like, oh my god, But that's the thing. You do some crazy ass shit when you need to be able to survive on those kind of things. And it's interesting to see the difference in command styles. Because Teddy's like, I'm not going to risk... I either have a high chance of one person being dead, which we already did a funeral for, or a low chance that we kill everybody. And Mitch is like, fuck this shit. He uploads the maneuver. He lets the crew decide. And of course, we then see the difference. Because Lewis is like, alright, me and Martinez, we're military. We gotta talk this over, alright? All of us do it, or none of us do it. So they then decide, of course, to go get Watney. Of course, she's going, hey, we'll get court-martialed. You guys will never probably go into space again. It's like, alright then, this lengthens our time out in space. Might as well fucking do this shit, motherfucker. And seeing them all kind of come together with it is really kind of nice. As they're like, yep. So they pick up their supplies and they get there. We see that we start getting into other kind of problems. The map that Watney is using, they have to... The problem is that Hermes 3 can't get into Mars's orbit. And the thing is, the MAV can only go into low Martian orbit, so there's a vast fucking distance that's going on with this. So they're like, alright, what are we going to do? So they pretty much instruct Watney to strip the fucking shit out of the MAV, like taking out shielding, windows, chairs, covering the fucking top of it with a tarp, and being like, Watney explaining this like, okay, listen, when a physicist is attempting to tell you, yeah, you'll be like going as the fastest thing ever. It's like, yeah, but I'm doing that because we're making this into a fucking convertible, man. Oh, God. So we see that he's kind of like on his last legs, but he's able to talk to them, and seeing that joy of being able to talk to them before we get that Martinez has to then control it remotely, and how problems have ensued of how he was pretty much running simulations on it, but they're able to get him up in orbit. However, they are still not, one, they're going too fast, and two, the distance. So he brings up pretty much doing an Iron Man maneuver, which is kind of funny because we got Sebastian Stan poking a hole and pretty much utilizing an uncontrolled kind of jet kind of thing to get his ass in between the distance. The Hermes also, well, the Hermes also, Hermes? Yeah, because that's the Hermes ship. Yeah. They decide to do a similar kind of thing by blowing out, making a bomb on a spaceship, which they don't just like hand wave that shit. They actually have to go through and figure out what they need to do to make sure this doesn't fucking kill themselves. And they blow out the oxygen and certain kind of things that they pretty much sealed off. And then, so that way they can decelerate. They kind of get close enough. However, the commander decides to go out in one of the kind of jet-assisted chairs and is able to get to Watney. And it's really kind of tense and everything. And I have to, like, nail on the effects. They work very well here. This is like... You're like, okay, they're in space. Seeing them in the low gravity in the spaceship. The Martian soil and everything. It works very well. This is one of, like... After seeing this is one of my favorite Ridley Scott movies because it is just so strong on character, plot, and the world of how it kind of does. Like, the world worked together to save this astronaut because it's like, oh shit, he's alive. This is a problem. Let's get his ass. And everybody worked together and succeeded. And seeing him, like, wrap himself up and everybody just... You just see that crew gel moment where it's like, ah shit, yeah. This is fucking stupid. It's like months and shit that it's taken, and they got his ass. And then seeing him get home, and everybody kind of seeing what's going on. Seeing Martinez on the next mission, but the rest of them kind of like working out. Sebastian Stan's character and Johansson getting together and having a baby. And just the rest of them just kind of like working and just doing what they do. Watney teaching people and saying that, like, yes, if you do this, you are going to be in a position where things will go wrong and it'll be life or death, and you just have to work the problem. What do you need to do? What are your objectives? How are you going to survive this kind of thing? And Matt Damon just really worked it. He's a central kind of linchpin for this as the character, and it wouldn't work if they didn't get someone who just really was able to inhabit the character and deliver the content very well. It's an actor that is able to do that as well as the content. Like, you can't have one or the other. Like, if either of them fell apart, it really wouldn't work. And the great thing is, you then get good characters to build upon with that. There's still, like, even if you still had the same kind of thing with Watney, you still need Lewis to understand and be that kind of commander that would kind of be a rule commander, and then at the one kind of pivotal kind of point be like, she weighed what she needed to do. Like, she could have just said, fuck this shit, I have the rest of my crew to think about. But she's like, no, this has to be done in a way that works. And she broke the rules with her crew to save Watney. And seeing Teddy and the rest of the scientists on Earth being like, if we don't do this, this man dies. And it all works together. If any of these parts were not working as well as they were, this movie wouldn't be as good as it is. And I just love it. Even if it's almost like working on 3 hours, it's just enjoyable to watch. And it's beautiful in 4K. If you get the chance to watch it in 4K, do it. And it physically, it just crisp, really sucks you in, the colors and everything. And I love the suit designs, like seeing the Martian suits versus the space suits that you normally see, because they're different environments. Like, yeah, of course they would have different suits. I just really loved it and enjoyed this. Now, if you didn't, that's cool. There's no giant action scenes or anything, so that's not a thing that's going to be going into it. Character development, you see Watney go through ebbs and valleys and fighting everything and trying to figure out how to kind of move on from this. All of their characters have different kind of moments and different kind of places and be like, okay, these are the decisions we've made and what they're attempting to do and how they're attempting to achieve their goals. Because all of them do. Even the Chinese counterpart to NASA, they're like, if we help them, this kind of exposes our kind of stuff as well. So it's got a little bit of the politics behind it, but they're like, yeah, so they have to figure out how to do this kind of behind the scenes or other kind of ways, and then seeing that they are able to help out is like, we all did this. All of us. It took everybody to do something, and I love that message of sometimes there's big kind of problems. But if you're able to come together and recognize those problems and take all the different kind of things that people are able to do, you can put a person on a planet, and you can get a person back from a planet because you got this shit. Yeah, I might have some tech. I might have some people. Let's do this shit. And that's what I really liked. I mean, perseverance, using your knowledge and skill sets to go through insurmountable challenges and working together. It's like a thing that like people hit on like anime or whatnot. It's like, oh, the power of friendship. And it's like, oh, it's a quaint, naive little fucking piece of shit. It's like, no. Whenever you look at something, barring the fucking propaganda of like, this was the one person that did this whole thing, there's a lot of people behind things. Even if you were able to make some awesome fucking thing, you did that because you also had knowledge of people that came before you. Now, I'm not saying that you didn't add shit to it, but together, we do some kick-ass shit. And that's what I think this movie's greatest kind of strength is. Together, we do some kick-ass shit. And that's it, man. Like, that's at least the big thing that I get from it. And if you get something different, that's fucking awesome. That's the awesome kind of stuff with this. That's why I do these reviews and everything. And I'd recommend it to anyone. Now, since it's a longer one, block out your time for it. But if you've seen it before, you can definitely have it on in the background and comment in certain kind of parts and be like, hey, yeah, alright. Hey, yeah, the Fonz bit. That Fonz picture was great. It's like, it's like, I can't see his face. Oh, we'll just have him take his fucking helmet off in the Martian atmosphere. That'll go well. Oh, yeah. It definitely works on, like, character development and plot. It's a simple plot, but there's a lot of different kind of parts that complicate the things. And if you want an action kind of movie, there's a lot of different kind of ones, so this one definitely wouldn't be for you. Now, there's cursing and F-bombs and stuff, and like, oh god, some blood and stuff like that. It's not on the level of like torture porn and horror movies, but figure out how your kind of viewing party would be, if you're into it or not. I like it because I think it does a good job of showcasing science as something that's cool and awesome. It's not some kind of mystical, magical thing that can be unknowable to plebs. You know shit. Everybody knows some science shit. Now, liking certain kind of stuff and gravitating towards it, that's what needs to be kind of like thought on. It's like, Watney had to learn other different kind of things and engineering and coding and stuff. I mean, botany helped his ass out to make sure that he lived long enough to do that kind of stuff, but that's another kind of thing. It's always cool to learn and figure out other kind of stuff. So yeah, I really like this movie. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.